So let's start with today's lecture. So what's the plan? First of all, so I hope each one of you has or started the preparation for your mains. Okay. All those who have written your 2020, I think Krishna, na 2021. Sorry, Krishna, you have started your preparation for mains, na. Don't lie in this hangover of prelims. It's very dangerous. Don't over it's kind of estimate things. Let it be. The things which you have done has done. It has been done. It cannot be changed. And if you lose these days, then maybe even 5 days, it can cost you 10 marks. So be aware of that and be sensible. Start your preparation for mains. All other students are preparing for 2022, so it's not a issue. They need to start their 2021 mains. ठीक है. The first phase of this lecture will be orientation class. I will just brief down what are the things which you need to do to gain maximum from this class, and how you should approach this map pointing session as a whole, this whole classroom program, to score at least 40 to 45 marks. That should be our aim, because if we are doing some specific classes for map pointing, it means our aim is to score more than 40, or if our even the UPSC is not very unorthodox, then even 45. That should be our aim. Then only we can cross this 300 marks जो बाउंड्री हमने अपने लिए टारगेट सेट किया है. दैट कैन बी डन ओनली व्हेन वी स्कोर एटलीस्ट 40 मार्क्स इन द मैप सेक्शन. ठीक है. So let's see, and then today we will discuss Paleolithic. And then from tomorrow, this whole class will run on as scheduled 2 hours hoga, and we'll try to cover as much as possible. Today it will be a light one. We will, and I want you to discuss with me so that I know what are the problems which you are facing, or what are the things which you are in your last attempt, what are the things which you have faced with this map pointing section. So this is an open session kind of, you can discuss anything and make it interactive so that you have maximum output of this class. Got it? Okay. So let's start with the first thing, that is your basic aspects, how to use this classroom program, or how to get maximum from this classroom program. So there are 3 rules which you should follow. The first rule, it is about this present day class, not only present day class, this classroom program. If you are coming for 2 hours to attend any class, try to be interactive, try to be attentive. It's not a one way process. If you are thinking that you are sitting in a class like your school days, where you just need to listen to your teacher and need to mug up the things which have been said, and you will score more than 95%. In today's days, more than 95% CBSE guys are getting. So that is not the case here. You already know that 60% is the marks which the toppers get, and even less than that. So you need to be interactive. You need to open up to me. You need to put up your questions. Unless and until you will do that, this utilization or the maximum output of this class cannot be taken out. Fine. So this is rule number 1. Try to be interactive. Process ऐसा ना हो कि if I ask something, I want a answer from you. Answer can be wrong. Let it be. It doesn't matter. But try to answer. Don't sit idle in the class. Second thing is revision. Second aspect is revision. Revision means if you are coming to the class and revise the thing or the class notes the same day, That is what I want. Revise your class notes the same day. It will improve your retention at least by 50%. And I have done this practically, and it works. It works. If you revise the class the same day, the retention will be for a greater number of days. And if you don't revise it, if you come from the class or just switch off your laptop and will throw your copy somewhere else, and then again the next day before class you will pick that copy, then your retention will be minimal. There won't be any, you can say, the output of this classroom program will be very less, very less. So that revision should be the same day. Every class should be revised same day. Don't uh, rely on the recorded lectures. I don't like this thing personally, but since the students want it, so I also give access for this recorded lecture, but I don't like this program because recorded lectures need a lots of discipline. Unless and until you are disciplined, you will just delay your things like ki, okay sir, I won't attend the class, I'll see the recorded videos according to my time. This is okay, fine, some cases are genuine, but don't make it, or don't use it as a excuse, or don't try to use this point for other purposes, means not non genuine cases. Otherwise it will harm you. So rely on this classroom program, attend the class these 2 hours religiously, and revise these 2 hours. If you revise the same day na, it will not cost more than 30 to 35 minutes, and retention will be more. But if you want to revise the same thing after 3 to 5 days, you will take at least 1 hour for the revision, and the retention will also be less. So this is the thing. The second point we have done. The third point is regarding again revision, and this is very generic thing which holds true for each and every aspect of your preparation, means for each and every subject. And what is this? Reserve 1 day in a week for revision. Reserve 1 day in a week for revision. What you have studied in the last 6 days, revise those things on the seventh. Otherwise, you will keep reading. You will keep reading, but you won't be able to consolidate things. And if you don't able to consolidate things, you won't able to present it in the, or recall it in the examination, and thus you won't be able to score a good marks. So revision is again a very important thing, the most important section, but the most neglected section of this preparation, because it needs discipline. It needs discipline. It cannot be done without or by a non-disciplined person. Therefore, you need to work on that. These are the basic aspects. Now, moving to our map section. What are the things which are important with respect to our, specifically important to our map section? Your maps have 3 dimensions. 3 dimension. One is the hint, which is given in the examination paper. The second one is identification, and the third one is the content. Agree? Hint, because unless and until you know the meaning, or you understand that specific term which is given in the hint, you won't be able to locate that site or identify that site properly. So the first thing is hint. Second thing is identification. We will see what does it mean. It means ki, as you guys already have seen the previous year papers, the examination is, the UPSC gives like this. They will point out the site. Of course, they won't give the name, just they will point out the site and give the number to it, and in number the hint will be provided. So you need to identify this site. So that is the second part, that is to identify it correctly. The third thing was content, what to write and how to write. Fine. So we'll see each of these 3 aspects one by one. Let's start with first thing, hint. What are the just give me 5 names which you can recall, which are given in the examination paper in the hint. and try to be means give the hints from different periods. Just 5 names. Anyone? It's very basic one. I just it's urgent. Okay, 1 minute. I'll be here. Just give me 2 minutes break. I'll be here. Sorry for the interruption. Mesolithic, Krishna capital cities, inscription site. Yes, there are a number of them. Uh, do anyone know, or does anyone know what this site of proto history? Can you give the name example of any proto historic site? Krishna, proto historic site. Rudresh says Harappa. Yes, it's good. Good, Rudesh. Bhimbetka is not proto-historic as such because it's a prehistoric site. Krishna, uh, early Harappan won't be correct. Harappa, yes. Early Harappan, it's kind of prehistoric only. I'll this I'll try to eliminate this confusion between prehistory, proto-history, and because this is what in hint you can get this term also, proto-historic site. If you are not clear with, yes, Rudesh, Dhoravira, Lothal, all the Harappan sites are part of your proto-historic. Even Vedic sites are proto-historic sites. Rudesh, you are correct. So, what is the meaning? So, in hint, you need to know the meaning of each and every term. That is what is given in the hint, and that is what is required from our side. Most of the terms are pretty simple, like political center, like Buddhist center, like religious center, cultural center, or your prehistoric site, or your maybe inscription site. There are a number of them. So they are pretty direct. But there are some sites in which the terms in which you can get confused. So we will try to know the exact meaning of those terms. Fine. So let's see the nomenclature. So if we divide the our whole history in two periods, prehistory and historical. So what is the dividing line, or what is the parameter which divides it? How we divide it? Why we say that this Mesolithic is prehistoric, Neolithic is prehistoric, but your modern period is historical period? Why we see that? Yes. So this advent of writing, or the, yes, literary sources, or this advent of writing, yes, Radesh, you are also right. So this advent of writing is the dividing line. If we the period after which we have definite written records, those periods are called historical. The periods for which we do not have literary sources or written records are called prehistory. In prehistory, what are the, or the other term which we use for this is Stone Age. Stone Age also. So, what are the ages which are part of this Stone Age? First is Paleolithic, second is Mesolithic, and third is your Neolithic. Chalcolithic is part of Stone Age or not? No, it's after Stone Age because it, yes, Rudesh, no, because copper, chalco means copper, the arrival of metal has arrived. It's not pure Stone Age. Uh, the time period 3500 BC. What is this time period, Rudesh? Why are you saying this? Let's see. Okay, fine. That's another issue. We will discuss it when we will discuss the Chalcolithic age. ठीक? So now just try to understand the basic aspects. Conceptual clarity is required to understand these terminologies. So first thing, prehistoric we have seen, or you can get even the hint of Stone Age for these sites. Agree? Historical period starts around 6th century BC in North India and around 2 to 4th century BCE in South India. There is two different regions, two different periods are given. Although the earliest written record is not belong to the 6th century BC, but scholars argued that since other characteristics like urbanization, political kingdoms, and all those things have started forming, therefore we can have this line, means 6th century BC, as a the time where this historical period starts. Otherwise, foolproof historical period, we can say the modern inscriptions are the oldest written record which are exactly foolproof records or sources. Fine. So, but scholars have given this date for the start of historical period. Prehistory, history. Where does this term proto history, which I discussed, lie, or what does it mean? Say you take the example of your Indian history. We have the, yes, Rudresh, one of the chief characteristics, right? So proto history is the period where the people might be literate. Might be literate means they might be knowledgeable, they might have studied, but the tradition was oral, or the tradition or the script which they used, we haven't deciphered yet. So both these characteristics, what does it indicate? First, if a script is not deciphered, then the example is your IVC. And if we are saying, talking about the oral tradition, then the example is Vedic. So both these periods come under your proto-historic period. Yes, Krishna, you're right. Written record, but not deciphered yet. Got it? So proto-history, exact meaning is clear to you guys. Why I have given this example of IVC or Vedic, because from exam point of view, you won't be asked the definition of proto-history, but you will get the hint as a proto-historic site for your Indus Valley civilization sites also. Got it? Vedic, again, archaeological records are very less for Vedic. Some PGW sites are there which belong to Vedic period. So for that, you can get this hint of proto-historical site also. Agree? Good. So nomenclature, these terms are clear. Stone Age, clear. Other hints which can appear in the examination, which can be asked in the examinations, are like factory site, habitational site. What does a factory site means? A factory site is like a modern day factory, in terms of manufacturing unit. It's comparable to the manufacturing units of modern days. And what was the thing which were manufactured during your Stone Age? It was the tools. So tool manufacturing sites can be termed as factory sites. So you can get this example, and even in 2020 paper you got this site of Isampur or Hungsi, that is a prominent tool manufacturing site belonging to your Paleolithic or Stone Age. Fine. So those kind of hints can be asked. Factory site, similar, habitation site. Even one chief characteristic of the Southern Neolithic, if you can recall, the chief characteristic of Southern Neolithic is ash mounds. So a site with ash mound, a site without ash mound. Such kind of question can also be asked, because there are few habitation sites which have ash mounds. There are few habitation sites which do not have, or which do not show any records of ash mound. Such things can also be asked. Then even when we'll move to historical period, we will see what are the chief characteristic of some periods, especially in economic sense. Other Buddhist, religious, all those things have been asked. I'm just focusing on the terms which hasn't been asked yet but can be asked. Coin hoarding site has been asked. Apart from that, you can get some questions like prominent craft center, craft making center, all these things. Say for example, Varanasi or Kashi. Kashi was the place from